What the mainstream media doesn't want you to know, that's what we do on Fridays. We warn the good people. We enlighten the good people with Denny Carter. Denny, how are you?
It's very serious business, Connor, as you know, and we get to the bottom of what they are keeping from you from a fantasy football standpoint. So I'm doing well. Hope you guys are doing well, but I am ready to engage in very serious business.
Well, Denny, everybody's talking about Nico Collins' injury, and all they want to say is that now it's Tank Dell time. Finally, everybody's been waiting the whole season for Tank Dell time. But is there another wide receiver in this offense that could surface up to, being talked about in the mainstream media after you, of course?
Yeah, look, that's all you hear about right now is you turn on CNN, it's election and Tank Dell. And all I'm asking is for a little airtime for Xavier Hutchinson, who, is supposed to be the wide receiver 3 for the Texans. Now Nico Collins is on IR for the next 4 weeks. But what I think people are missing is that Xavier Hutchinson has been really good, really efficient in a little usage here. And that Nico Collins' absence could open the path for him to become the wide receiver 1 in Houston. No one is talking about this in the mainstream media. Of course, this week, Hutchinson and the Texans go against a Patriots defense allowing 7.6 yards per pass attempt. That's the 7th highest rate in the league. So it's a good spot. And yet, for some reason, guys, I don't hear anything about Xavier Hutchinson.
I like the call, Denny, especially when you look at Hutchinson's profile. He's a bigger-bodied wide receiver, and that's what Nico Collins brings to this offense. Obviously, Diggs is going to draw a lot of attention, probably the attention of Christian Gonzalez, the best cover corner that New England has. Tank Dell might be able to get over the top, but you're hoping for the big play. This is a vulnerable secondary, and the target share, in theory, should be there for Hutchinson.
What do you think? How much do you think they're going to lean into the run if Mixon comes back? Because we randomly only have seen one game of Joe Mixon this season where he was healthy and he got 1 million carries against the Colts in week 1. Do you think they lean heavily into the run with Mixon back?
With Bobby Slowick, you can never rule that out. The only problem is Joe Mixon practiced in a limited fashion on Thursday and what's clearly a serious ankle injury. Yeah. Can you hand the ball to Joe Mixon 25 times? Now, maybe Cam Akers gets the ball. Maybe a healthy Dameon Pierce gets the ball. Mumbiale. That's the scary part. Bobby Slowick does want to run the ball, but I trust Hutchinson. Nobody's Nico Collins, but to be a capable guy to play on the outside for them. How about Zach Ertz here, Denny? Yeah, listen, Matthew would really appreciate this if he was here, and he's alive. He's okay. He's just in Tuscaloosa. All we've heard from Matthew is Zach Ertz, but it feels like this week it's very real. Zach Ertz is a desperation play at a position that it feels like everybody that plays fantasy football is desperate at tight end.
Connor, you sound like a young member of the mainstream media, and that's what we have here. Really, is a cover up from the inside among a specific group of people in the mainstream media, and those are Zoomers, okay? And they are upset that Zach Ertz, at this advanced age, at this advanced part of his NFL career, is still producing, and he's going to produce this week against the Ravens in what I think will be a pass-heavy game script for Washington. I think they'll be chasing points. That's good for McLaurin. That's good for Zach Ertz. Maybe it's even good for Diami Brown. Who knows? This game, this Ravens-Commanders game, 51.5-point total, the second highest on the week. Zach Ertz is 9th in tight end targets this season. He's 9th in tight end pass routes. The Ravens allow the 7th most tight end fantasy points through Week 5. These are things that I'm not hearing when I turn on MSNBC. I mean, no offense to MSNBC. I think that they just need to be enlightened on Zach Ertz. And the young people need to realize that, athleticism, jumping ability, agility, they don't matter. Come on. Zach Ertz is going to get it done.
Yeah. Zach Ertz, by the way, is a higher receiving prop than Isaiah Likely or Mark Andrews this week, which was, wouldn't have been predicted before season. To be fair, they're all set in the 20s, so not going crazy, but Zach Ertz does have some upside in a game where, seeing Jane Daniels, he hasn't been in bad game scripts for a long while because they just keep destroying teams, so perhaps he will need to
This is the week.
A little bit more. Danny, I got a call this morning from Anderson Cooper while I was dropping off my 6-year-old at school, begging me not to talk about Darius Slayton, which is a very strange call to receive. Don't know why he couldn't have just texted. But what are you expecting from Darius Slayton under the bright lights on NBC on Sunday Night Football?
Yeah, it's funny actually because Anderson texted me in the middle of the night last night, and over and over, please don't mention Darius Slayton. We need to keep this a secret among the very corrupt and dishonest mainstream media. And I said, no, we're going to talk about this. We're going to blow the roof off of this situation because Malik Nabers, unfortunately, looks to be out another week while he recovers from the concussion he suffered 2 weeks ago. Darius Slayton, in case everybody missed it last week, 11 targets, led the Giants 122 yards. He had the 10th most air yards last week among all NFL receivers. Of course, air yards being a super secret, top secret metric that mainstream institutions will not tell you about. I'm telling you about them, and they are important, and they do measure opportunity. So Darius Slayton is a very sneaky play. Jay, I couldn't help but hear that you picked them up in a league just before we went on air, and I think that is a good move on your part.
Yep. People forget that Darius Slayton in 2022, for a team that made the playoffs and won a playoff game, was the #1 wide receiver in yards and targets for Daniel Jones. And yeah, if Malik Nabers is out, which is the expectation, then all of a sudden, going up against an atrocious pass defense, Darius Slayton is very, very flex viable, I think.
Him and Daniel Jones have had chemistry for quite some time, and you can't say that about the Giants' offense through the air too much.
Not quite Montana Rice,
no,
but Jones Slayton is a very workable tandem.
And how about the script of this game? I mean, the Bengals are a team, their backs are against the wall. They're 1-4. They have to win this game. They're favored to win this game. We know Joe Burrow is going to throw a lot, or at least early. Doesn't it feel like, as much as it's not pretty, like you said, it's not Montana Rice, no Malik Nabers, the Giants, we could have a 40-plus drop-back game for Daniel Jones. Somebody has to get the football that's not Wan'Dale Robinson.
Yeah, this is another thing that the mainstream media is not addressing because it doesn't suit their purposes. But Daniel Jones has been perfectly fine the past 4 weeks. He was bad in week 1 against the Vikings, but that performance, the context now makes that look a lot less bad because the Vikings have arguably the best defense in football. Since then, Daniel Jones has been perfectly fine. He's even throwing the deep ball a little bit more, which got going against Seattle. So, look, I think he needs to be viewed in the same light as he was in 2022 when everyone thought, yeah, this guy is, I don't know, the 15th to 18th best quarterback in football. Like, he's been playing at a level around that this season.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and RotoWorld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched, or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest Roto-World fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.